What's up, everybody? Good evening. It is Thursday, and it is time for Pop in Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ. The ladies are off tonight, but they will be back on Saturday. We will be back Saturday live for you guys. But I had to come on and bring you this interview. Candace Owens is back, and she has driven Cenk Uygur crazy. I'm going to get into that and more. As I always say, join the conversation by leaving a comment here on YouTube or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. And don't just comment, subscribe. If you miss us here on YouTube, you can watch us on Rumble or listen to us on Apple Podcasts under the name Pop and Politics. Guys, we are an independent media, and if you want to support what we do, your super chats and donations go a long way in helping us produce conservative content. Any amount is appreciated. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that understand we are living in urgent times. There's a target on our backs, all because we choose freedom. Yet we continue to stand. Let's stand together, subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, folks, let's set it off. I want to get right into this interview. This was crazy. This was nuts. So I want to get right into it. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, Candace is back. She is back on YouTube. And prior to her coming on today, she did this interview with Piers Morgan, Cenk Uygur, and it was wild. When I'm not even exaggerating, it was wild. They talked about Kamala Harris, they talked about Israel, and all sorts of topics. So I want to bring it to you right now, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on this interview. So here we go. Let's see here. All right, I'm just going to start it. This is wild.
Bottom line is, Israel is starting a much larger regional war, and
Israel is starting on the 7th of October.
I guarantee you that Jonathan is going to come on here. You're not going to talk over me. I guarantee you, Jonathan comes on here and says, America must pay for it. America must die for Israel. That's what he's going to say.
Okay, you're going to have to learn how to control yourself. I know it's very difficult for you. We just had a very long time to speak and we were quiet. I promise you can do that. As I was saying,
the outcome of the US presidential election will have massive implications for America and for the world. The candidates could not be further divided on issues like immigration, the economy, and the role America should play in restoring peace. Make no mistake, this election is transformatively significant. It might be one of the most significant, in fact, in our lifetimes. But it's not existential. Kamala Harris is not an actual communist.
Yeah,
Donald
right.
Trump is not an actual fascist.
Well, her policies are communist. She may not call herself a communist, but her policies are Marxist. And we've been talking about that for a while here on the show.
And no matter what happens in the next 4 months, a new president will be sworn into office in January next year. Just one day after a second attempt to assassinate Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton said this.
And I don't understand why it's so difficult for the press to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is. The late, great journalist, Harry Evans, one time said that, journalists should, really try to achieve objectivity. And by that, he said, I mean, they should cover the object. Well, the object in this case is Donald Trump, his demagoguery, his danger to our country and the world, and stick with it.
Wow.
Well, that narrative is dubious, and the timing was appalling.
Absolutely.
The media can be accused of many ill deeds, but failing to have a consistent narrative about Donald Trump is not one of them. This montage has now been viewed more than 30 million times in the aftermath of the latest attempted shooting. Excuse the poor quality, but the point is obvious.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right to the right.
Well, the full version goes on and on and on. Of course, it's not difficult to find examples of Donald Trump saying outrageous things too, but there's no real
No. And I'm going to stop it right there really quickly. Donald Trump says certain things, but he doesn't say stuff like that. A lot of times he does it in a jokingly way. You know, he will say things to different people who push back against him or say stuff against him. But the stuff that the leftists have been saying about him for years, he's never said anything like that. I want to acknowledge the super chatter. Tijuana Border Jumper says Candace is another great American hero. KJ, we love you. Thanks for all you do. Thank you so much, Tijuana Border Jumper. $5 super chatter. Certainly appreciate you for that. All right. So let's get back to it. This is wild, guys. This is wild.
value of me highlighting them because they play on the biggest TV news shows all day, every day. You will have already seen them. Everybody has. And right now, it's Democrats pushing the narrative that Trump and only Trump is to blame for the simmering and in some cases exploding tensions in American politics. Those tensions have almost got him killed, not once, but twice in just 2 months. Surely enough is now enough. There are many unanswered questions about Donald Trump's security. There's a very live debate about who is to blame for this dangerously febrile atmosphere and what should be done about it. There are questions, too, about an all-out war in the Middle East after Israel seemingly ignored the United States to launch an audacious attack on Hezbollah. 12 people are dead, including a child. Almost 3,000 were injured after pagers used by Hezbollah were remotely detonated inside Lebanon. Now even more blasts are hitting Beirut, with reports of an explosion at a funeral and hundreds injured by exploding walkie-talkies. We'll discuss it all with tonight's panel. I'm joined by the host of the Candace Owens Show on Spotify and Rumble, Candace Owens, founder and CEO of the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, and former Navy SEAL, author and founder of military contractor Blackwater, Eric Prince. Well, welcome to all of you. Cenk Uygur, there's a lot going on. I mean, the news cycle right now feels slightly insane. You know, you've got Donald Trump nearly assassinated again, twice in 2 months now. You've got apparently Israel launching this extraordinary attack across the whole of Lebanon on thousands of Hezbollah terrorists and, of course, wounding and potentially killing as well civilians in the process. So there's a lot to unpack here. What do you make of it?
Okay, first of all, on Donald Trump, what do you want me to do? The guy did a coup attempt. He had fake electors, not even his own electors. You have your own slate of electors. He didn't use them because they said this is unconstitutional and illegal. You lost the election. And he said, all right, you can get in fake electors. Let's do a coup attempt here. Let's have them bum rush the Capitol. And then that'll create enough confusion that we can bring it back to the states and the Republicans will cheat for us. They even wrote it in a book. Then he said we should terminate the Constitution because he lost the election. So what do you want me to do, Piers? The guy hates democracy. He's a dictator wannabe. So, okay, should you shoot at him? Of course not. Any action that is physical like that or violent is a surrender in the intellectual field of debate and ideas. So it's a terrible idea. It's immoral, etc. But I'm not going to let up on Donald Trump for 1 second rhetorically, because he is a monster. And he tried to terminate our Constitution. He tried to steal an election. I've never seen anyone so despicable in American politics. And by the way, there's another reason why I'm angry at him, because I'm a populist. And he took populism and he perverted it to just turning into his own personal con. He's such a slimy con man. I loathe him. Everyone should vote against him. He's one of the worst people I have ever seen in politics, and I'm not going to let him terminate the Constitution or destroy this democracy.
You see, what I find extraordinary, Cenk, is you haven't even given it a beat since he nearly had his brains blown out on Sunday on a golf course, which came 2 months after.
Did he give a beat, Piers? Did he give a beat? Did he ever give a beat when he constantly talks about violence? Hey, if someone takes out somebody from with a stretcher, I'll pay the legal bills. Attack people. Oh, my political opponents, I'm going to jail them. I'm going to attack them.
Well, to be clear, hang on. To be clear, you're trying to equate him making a joke about maybe slapping or punching someone in a crowd who's abusing him. With someone,
can I make a joke
with
about
someone taking an AK
Trump across the face?
Hang on, with somebody
can I make
actually,
that joke?
with somebody
can
actually,
I make that joke, Piers?
Hang on, somebody actually shooting him on a rally stage and then very nearly shooting him on a golf course with an AK-47. Do you not see the difference?
So, Piers, those are terrible actions. So what am I'm asking you a literal question. What do you want me to just go?
Could you give it a beat?
Okay, now Donald Trump's a good. Hold on, let me finish the question.
On a human level,
Donald Trump's a good guy. Donald Trump loves democracy. Donald Trump's still the same monster he was yesterday. So I hate that people are shooting at him. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's immoral. It's wrong.
Why would you be surprised?
I can't condemn it any stronger.
Why would you be surprised?
I'm not going to tell you that Donald Trump is a decent man.
But Cenk,
why would you be grotesque human being?
Why would you be surprised that people are taking drastic action? Unhinged people with unhinged brains who are listening to constant rhetoric from
You
people.
didn't answer the question.
Well,
what do you want me to do? You want me to politically surrender,
I'm asking you a question. Do you not consider for a moment that within 48 hours you're still saying monster, demagogue, dictator, blah, 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 blah.
Because that's who he is.
Yes, but this is what is affecting.
So you want me to lie?
Yeah, because
Piers, tell me this.
Because
do you want me to lie?
Let me finish. The shooter at the golf course, specifically in his recent social media posts, parroted Kamala Harris, saying that he was effectively an existential threat to democracy in America. You're doing the same. Does nothing make you pause?
You're insane.
Hillary Clinton's doing the same.
Trump does it 2,000 times worse.
Because you think he does it,
your
you
great
should do
idea
it too.
is Democrats shouldn't. Your great idea is Democrats shouldn't campaign against your beloved Donald Trump because some moron, mentally unstable guy took a shot at him. Okay, or two of them did. You know what? I can protect Donald Trump. Ban assault weapons.
All right, so you see this guy. I mean, his eyes are literally bugging out of his face. I mean, he actually looks like he's about to cry. He actually looks like he is about to cry. The man is unhinged. He is nuts. And the sad part about this is a lot of people on the left are like this. TDS is real. Trump derangement syndrome is real. And guys, I've seen it. I live in Maryland. Maryland is like East Coast California. They're nuts over here. Leftists are nuts. This guy is not out of the norm for people on the left. I want to get to this next part here because he just goes on and on. Here we go. This is where Candace responds to him. And this is what really drives him.
What I make of all of this is that if you are going to legitimately tell people that someone is a monster, that somebody is a dictator, that somebody is literally Adolf Hitler, if you're going to tell people that this person is a constant threat, why wouldn't somebody try to eliminate that threat? That would actually be a sensible thing for somebody to do if they believe the rhetoric that is coming out of people's mouths. Now,
then
if this had happened and it was flipped,
including you, Candace.
Cenk, you just spoke for a very long time.
Let Candace finish, please.
Let Candace speak. Cenk, you're going to have to learn how to control yourself. I know it's very difficult for you, but you just had a very long time to speak and we were quiet. I promise you can do that. You need to sit on your hands, then you should do that. As I was saying, if this situation had been reversed and I had just watched somebody try to shoot Kamala Harris, I would be definitively saying how wrong it was. I would be saying to people that despite the fact that I do not want her to be president, of course, she is not so much of a threat that she needs to be shot. They don't stop this rhetoric because they do not want these assassination attempts to stop on Donald Trump. And I want to be very clear. The circumstance that we find ourselves in the West is one of remarkable privilege. And when you're in times of remarkable privilege, it creates actually an issue of having a lot of weak men, right? Weak men are the ones that are going out here proclaiming that Donald Trump is a threat, proclaiming that Donald Trump is somebody that is a dictator because they've never had real conflict in their lives. And you're about to see that example right now, the difference in the demeanor between someone like Cenk and Eric Prince, who I greatly respect, and who is somebody who has seen real conflict and understands what real threat is, right? He understands real threat. Cenk is somebody that grew up, obviously, with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's never had to fight for anything in his life and has never had to put his life before somebody else's. So it's very easy for him to behave like this, to demonstrate like a toddler who is throwing his toys out of the pram when he doesn't get what he wants. And so he heightens his rhetoric and says, why am I not getting what I want? This man's a dictator. This man's a threat. And he's not being realistic. And it's embarrassing to our country, whether it was a person on the right or the left.
You guys haven't addressed it at all.
Cenk, I promise you are capable of
He wants to terminate the Constitution, so you like that? 3 minutes
as somebody else speaks.
Let me bring in Eric. Eric, you are a former Navy SEAL.
And a patient.
And a very patient.
Wait. You know, the girl is bad. Now, I don't agree with Candace on everything. I disagree with her on her stance on Israel. But the girl is bad. I mean, she can sit there and not move her upper body, and her speech is so eloquently done. I mean, she told him off, and it was just like didn't even break a sweat. While this man looks like he's about to stroke out. The girl is bad. The girl is bad. I mean, love or hate her. I mean, you can't take that away from her. She's intelligent. She's well spoken. And you know, I don't even have any words. I don't have any words. Here we go. Let me move on here. So let's see here. All right, I want to take you to this next portion.
There's an enormous amount of apocalyptic language.
Now, this gentleman is, in case you guys don't know, I believe his name is Patrick Prince or Eric Prince. He is the head of Blackwater. So, you know, he's definitely seen a lot of warfare and things like that. And he is going to speak on this part.
Spoken by the left.
Eric Prince.
Call it saying he must be eliminated. He is Hitler. And that unleashes every left-wing crazy to authenticate themselves by saying, I'm going to be the hero. This guy, this Ruth guy on Sunday, who was there for 12 hours stalking Donald Trump with a high-powered rifle with a scope, with ballistic plates up against the fence. And what did he have up there? A GoPro. Why? He was trophy hunting. He wanted to be the savior of the left, to say, I'm the one that killed Donald J. Trump. Trophy hunting, saying, for people like you responding to words that you're putting out there. Why else would he have a GoPro?
No, he wanted to get famous. You're totally right about that, Eric. And I hate that. But the way that this whole thing has been framed as if the right wing doesn't do rhetoric that is 10,000 times more dangerous and violent over and over again. Trump's fans sent pipe bombs to every one of his enemies. Trump fan hit Nancy Pelosi's husband in the head with a hammer, and Trump never even denounced it. How sick is that? That he never even denounced it. He laughs about it. So if we were using the Trump standard, we'd laugh about him getting shot at, but I'm not as disgusting as Donald Trump is.
Okay, so again, he's kind of took it all the way back to the whole Nancy Pelosi thing. This guy, he's just unhinged. I want to move on to the part about Kamala Harris where they go in on her. So let me see here. Okay, here we are. So they go in. One second. Let me get this fixed for you guys. Yeah, this is, I mean, again, this is what the left does. They kind of create this, they can never answer a straight question. You know, and this is what gets me. The things that they're bringing up about Trump was back in 2016. I mean, the man has been our president. He was president of the United States, and they're going back to where he was prior to being elected, coming up with this nonsense. It's really ridiculous.
Guarantee you, Jonathan comes on.
1 second. All right, here we are. So I want to take you to the part about Kamala Harris, where they talk about her recent interview. She was recently interviewed by the National Association for Broadcast Black Journalists. Now, if you guys remember, Trump did that interview with them. He went ahead and did it couple months ago. And this is when Kamala wasn't doing any press, and they just totally they overran him. It was ridiculous the way they did that interview. So now here she finally goes on the interview with them, and they're going to run a clip of her word salad. Before I show you guys this, I want to acknowledge their super chatter, Tijuana Border Jumper. Thank you again for the $5 super chat. Says share, like, and donate if you can. Buy merch. Tell a friend to watch. Let's take back America. Get the likes up. I really appreciate it. Yes, guys. Thank you for reminding me, Tijuana Border Jumper. We do have merch. We have merch. You can go to our website and check out our merchandise. Let me see here. So, yep, we do have that right here at www.popandpoliticslive.com. And then you just click on the shop icon and you will find all of our merch. We have sweatshirts. We have t-shirts for men, for women, really cool stuff. We updated our store, so please go on and check that out. Again, you can see it right there, www.popandpoliticslive.com. All right, so I want to get back into this interview, guys. All right, here we go. Let's see here. So this is another part where they talk about Kamala Harris.
Take a look.
Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed, women and children. We have seen with horror the images coming out of Gaza, and we have to take that seriously. And we have to agree that not only must we end this war, but we have to have a goal of a two-state solution, because there must be stability and peace in that region. In as much as what we do in our goal is to ensure that Israelis have security and Palestinians in equal measure have security, have self-determination and dignity.
You see, Candace, and there was another one the weekend where she was talking about the economy and saying that, you know, she grew up with people who were proud of their lawns and all this kind of thing. And in the debate, when she was challenged specifically about any policy stuff, doesn't really say anything. You know, she didn't say anything there about this Israel-Hamas war, which is going to have any meaningful difference to what happens. It's all this kind of, as she would put it, her desire for joy, for everyone to get along, everyone to be peaceful and happy, and everyone to be prosperous. We all want that. But the more she talks about these things, the less impressed I am by what comes out of her mouth. What do you make of Kamala Harris, the candidate?
Before I get in there, I want to thank Foxy Girl for the super chat, $1.49 super chat. Thank you so much. Certainly appreciate you.
You know, I truly think that the reason that they staged an effective coup on Joe Biden was simply because obviously he had been in such mental decline that they couldn't hide it anymore. And they at least needed a candidate that could remember the lines. And going into the debate, and obviously we're still waiting for more to come out, but we do have that ABC whistleblower who said that she was given the questions ahead of time, which would mean that she was given the time frame to remember the answers. And she's good for that. Like, she can remember the answers and as if she's performing a high school play. And that's exactly what she did. But when it comes down to it, the reason why she is giving such few interviews far in between is because she is not actually able to give comprehensive answers. She doesn't actually know what her policies are, which is why she flip-flops often on what her policies are. Her policies are essentially whatever she's told to say. On the issue of Israel and Palestine, it is a vulnerable area for her. She does not want to lose the Muslim vote in America. So she's trying to just say things that sound nice, present a bunch of niceties and sound kind, essentially going, we only have a few weeks to the election. As long as I sound like I want there to be peace, we won't lose the Muslim vote.
Gotta acknowledge another super chatter here. Kimmy Joe, wow, thank you for the $20 super chat. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. All right, let's get back into this.
and people that are passionate about this hot button issue. So to me, I see her as little more than an actress, somebody that is more effective than obviously Joe Biden, who couldn't do that anymore for them. But everything that you're seeing with her is performative. And I am happy that there are groups that recognize that now, like particularly Black men do not seem to be falling for this whatsoever. And people are calling into question why it is that she keeps flip-flopping on so many of her policies. I don't think there's much going on upstairs with her. And she's especially weak when it comes to speaking about economics. And you can see that. You even saw that during the debate.
Yeah, I mean, Cenk, I understand you don't want Trump to win. So obviously you're going to want the other side to win. But you cannot be impressed by what Kamala Harris actually says when she gets around to talking about policy. It's a lot of hot air, isn't it?
Yeah, so mostly yes. Okay, but let me be clear about a couple of things. So I'm honest. So that answer on Israel is terrible. That's basically her saying, I'll do everything Israel tells me to do. And by the way, she's taken over $5 million from AIPAC. Biden's taken over $11 million from AIPAC. Also, Republican Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, his top donor is AIPAC. So anything that comes out of Republican or Democratic mouths on Israel is just paid for. Donald Trump, his top donor is Miriam Adelson, and is reporting in Israel that he might let Israel annex the West Bank in order to please his donor. So our politics is totally, utterly corrupt. On policy, I like some of the economic populist things that she put out there. I like some of it a lot, actually. The problem with Democrats is that they don't often deliver. This is stuff that they do for campaigning. Then they deliver about 5 to 10% of it. And then the press bullies you into saying that it was miraculous, historic achievements. The problem with the Republicans is they go 100% in the wrong direction. And here I was getting all ready to agree with the panel overall because I don't like that.
Okay, I want to stop it really quickly. I want to acknowledge another super chatter, Marvin Martin with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, to my knowledge, even South Park hasn't touched this Israel-Gaza stuff. But an overgrown baby like Cenk gets away with it while Candace gets heat. Yeah, well, you got some, you make some sense there. You definitely make some sense there. All right, let me see here. I want to keep this going.
An answer by Kamala Harris, but here comes Candace Owens to make up another conspiracy theory about an ABC whistleblower, which is hilarious and ridiculous. It's been debunked thoroughly. It's just a random.
Well, has it been? Well, hang on. Has it been debunked thoroughly? Because I've been watching.
Yes.
Well, hang on. I've been watching ABC's responses, and I don't call that a thorough debunking at all. It looks to me like they're being very careful with the way they're wording stuff. And Bill Ackman's been on this, who's no fool. He's been doing a lot of tweeting about this, saying there's something weird about this. This affidavit was apparently signed two days before the debate and so on. Now, it may turn out to be a load of baloney, but the response by ABC and Disney so far, Cenk, has not been very commanding.
So, Piers, here we go again. You know who outed Donna Brazile for actually leaking questions to a Democrat, Hillary Clinton? Young Turks did. We found it in WikiLeaks, and when we originally exposed it.
So why would you be surprised if it happened again?
Right. So mainstream media said, oh, you guys are crazy, you guys are kooks. No, we proved it. You know what the difference between that story and this story is? We had evidence. There's no evidence here at all. It reminds me of Rush Limbaugh when he would say to his listeners, I have a fax. I have a fax here. Anybody can send you a fax, brother. Anybody can put up a fake document online. You have to show that the guy was actually from ABC.
Well, this is not a conspiracy theory. Cenk hasn't just.
So they lost Cenk. He lost his for a minute. His I don't know what happened. His line went out or his connection went bad. I don't know what happened, but I want to move it forward to this next part where he does come back. So this is the part where they start talking about Israel. So take a look here. Okay, here we are.
Candace, your reaction to this extraordinary operation, seemingly led by Mossad, ordered by Netanyahu yesterday, ongoing today, right across Lebanon.
So you guys know they're talking about the pagers that blew up. So these are the pagers that were sent out by Mossad, which was Israel's defense, where they had these pagers that were attached to Hezbollah. fighters. They were actually out in the civilian area, and they had these pages attached, and somehow Israel sent some type of powder or explosive material in these pagers, and they blew up. And when I say blew up, they blew up the Hezbollah fighters, their hands, their sides, all of this stuff blew up on them. Okay, and so now they're talking to this gentleman here who is the head of Mossad, I believe, the Israeli army, and he's talking about why they did it and how they did it. So take a look here.
2 children are reported to have been killed in this operation, who were clearly civilians and not Hezbollah terrorists. That's reported by the Lebanese Health Authority, which is not Hezbollah. What is your response to this? Is it, as Jonathan just said, fair game if primarily the people who were targeted, almost all of them appear to have been Hezbollah?
Well, I think a question that I immediately want to ask him, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to, is that if you're able to delineate how surgical and precise these operations can be with the intelligence that you have, why are there 40,000 dead innocent women and children and civilians in Gaza? Because that's a question that I've always had. You know, we keep hearing the excuse that behind every one of these victims is a Hamas soldier, but there's not 40,000 dead Hamas soldiers. And if the excuse is that there's a tunnel under there, I mean, just me thinking logically through engineering, you would only have to hit a tunnel at a couple of points to render it ineffective. So I'm just interested in why you guys can perform surgical procedures, but seemingly not in Gaza, where it looks like just an absolute war zone and buildings and hospitals and children and women are dead.
Well, on that point, let's get a response from Jonathan. It's a fair question.
It's a very fair question, and I appreciate it. And I'd like to make a comparison. I'm sure that you follow events and you're very interested in what happens in Israel and with what our enemies are doing, and I see that. But I'm sure that you know that until this cyber operation that Israel reportedly did, Israel was able to kill more than 500 Hezbollah operatives in Lebanon, throughout Lebanon. Now, I haven't seen you tweet about it, any of the other people who usually support the other side. But if you take a look at how many civilians were killed in Lebanon as a result, as an unfortunate byproduct of Israeli strikes, and if you compare that to the situation in Gaza, I think that what you will find is it's the same IDF, the same operating procedures that we have in Gaza, only that here in Lebanon, until now, the situation is that Hezbollah has so far distinguished itself from civilian population, and they haven't been fighting from within cities. And as such, when the IDF has deployed lethal weapons against them, then terrorists have been killed and not civilians. And it's not because it's a different IDF. It's because, as you said, you used the word excuses. I would call it a reason and the sad reality of Hamas using Gazan population as their human shields, which I think is deplorable. And if you claim to be a defender of Palestinians and Arabs and other people, and you have that in your heart, and I think that your criticism should be pointed first and foremost towards Hamas and all of the other cowards who are using Palestinians as their human shields, who are afraid to fight out in the open, who are firing rockets from schools, and who are using mosques as their launch pads against Israel. That, I think, is despicable, and that should be condemned. Not the fact that we are going in there to fight them after they attacked us on October the 7th.
I didn't issue a condemnation. I didn't issue a condemnation. I asked you a question, and you just delivered me the same talking points that we always hear. And you didn't actually provide me an answer.
I actually did.
If you are able to go
explanation.
to a foreign country, you guys you have control over the Gaza Strip, right? It's a part of Israel.
No, it isn't.
If you are able to go into a country like Lebanon, where you don't have control, where you can't just shut off their water, where you can't be monitoring people's actions in the same way and within the same proximity to Israel, why are you unable to similarly perform a surgical operation to locate where exactly those Hamas soldiers are? And by the way, do you have a number for how many Hamas soldiers have been killed in the Gaza Strip?
Right. So, I mean, you either weren't listening or maybe I wasn't clear.
How many Hamas soldiers have been killed?
Yeah, I heard your question, Candace. I heard your question. Maybe you weren't listening or I wasn't clear. I'm usually clear when I speak, but I'll repeat it. Israel has been able to take out more than 500 Hezbollah operatives and with absolutely minimal collateral damage in Lebanon. Why is that the case, which is different from the situation in Gaza? Because Hezbollah hasn't been hiding amongst civilians yet. Hamas is. And that is why, unfortunately, Palestinian civilians in Gaza have also been killed in significant numbers, and many have been wounded.
So let me finish 1 second.
Were you, I wouldn't use Hamas information.
All right, so I want to stop it very quickly here and just first let me acknowledge the super chatter. Marissa Mack, thank you so much for the $4.99 super chatter. Says, keep up the awesome work you all are doing, keeping us informed with facts, and may God continue to bless you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And may God bless you, continue to bless you in your life. So, guys, I started out this by saying, Candace is bad, y'all. She wiped the floor clean with all of them on this panel. I love her. I agree with her most of the time. However, on this part, she kind of lost me. And let me tell you why. So I kind of understood what this Mossad guy was saying. So she was making the point that why is it Israel is able to do such surgical, tactical killing or bombing or what have you when during this operation against the Hezbollah operatives, but when it comes to Gaza and the Palestinians, we've seen such carnage. We've seen children, women, so many civilians killed in this warfare. And he's saying, yeah, this is the whole point. As you can see with this Hezbollah operation, we were able to actually single out them because it's a situation where they're not hiding within civilian territories. They're not using women and kids as shields. They're not doing these things. So we are able to single the actual operatives out much better than we have been in Palestine, in the Gaza Strip. That makes sense to me. And he's saying, we don't generally just bomb a bunch of babies and civilians. The only time we're seeing this type of carnage is when in the Gaza Strip with Hamas. And we know that Hamas uses these civilians in hospitals as shields. So that kind of made sense to me. That made sense to me because he's saying Israel is trying every way they can to avoid civilian casualties, but it's hard fighting an enemy that uses them as shields. So it's almost like I thought when he said that, it made me think of something. I know this might be juvenile, but if you're playing tag and you're trying to get this one person and the person you're trying to get is pushing someone else out in front of you. So you're unable to tag them. It's almost like you keep hitting the person that you don't want to hit because this person is always the one you want to hit is using them, is putting them in your way. I don't know. Does that make sense? But I can see what he's saying. He's saying, this is an example. This is Hezbollah operation. You can see that we did this in a way where a lot of civilians were not killed because they fight clean, to a point. Whereas in Hamas is using the children and the women and kids as shields. Another thing. So I'm not sure if you guys, I'm sure somebody on here knows someone in the military. And I want to shout out a super chatter here. Dawn White, thank you so much for your $2 super chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I'm sure you guys know people in the military, people, in different types of military branches. I do as well. And I have a close friend who is special ops. So he was for many, many years special ops, where basically he was part of a team where they would send him out, drop him in the middle of nowhere, and then he would have to do what he's supposed to do. He was special ops for the United States military. And to this day, he cannot really, he doesn't want children. He can't even, he has a very, you would think it's harsh, but he has a very, I guess, harsh perspective or opinion of children. Let me tell you why. Because he did a lot of special ops in the military, and he has seen so many military children in the Middle East have tried to, in warfare, but they were soldiers. They were soldiers. And so this has now, he's saying, we as civilians don't understand how much the Middle East, Hamas, and many of these other places, you're thinking a little child, a sweet, innocent child is innocent. They're not going to do anything. And then in fact, they are there, they're bombed. They have a bomb strapped to them. They're there to kill you. And so he talks about this he says this is a normal thing in the Middle East. So I say that to say, I'm sad to see this, but it may be a situation where a lot of these children and kids and women and things like that are actually operatives. They're actually operatives. I want to acknowledge another super chatter here. Will Jones, thank you so much. Says Candace is forcing Israel to do more to avoid civilian deaths and injuries. Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, I generally agree with Candace on most issues. I love Candace. I think she's amazing for the conservative movement. But I kind of differ with her, and this is what we're allowed to do. We as conservatives are individuals, and we can, disagree on certain things. I do disagree with her on most of her stance with Israel. I do. Yes, she comes with receipts. Again, she's amazing. Even in this interview, she is. But I don't know. I just she's gone after Israel and things like that a lot, and some things she has opened my eyes to. But then there's some things where I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know about this war and her stance on it. I do disagree with her here. Guitar Cat, thank you so much for the super chat. Says Candace needs to stop criticizing Israel for defending itself and start focusing on the Biden-Harris regime who keeps funding the conflict. Yeah, I mean, she has spent, like that Mossad agent said, she has spent a lot of time coming for the Israel. I mean, she has. And again, some things she has, brought to light a lot of things. I do agree with her on her stance on what she was saying about, many in the Jewish community who are non-religious, and they continue to vote for Democrats, and they don't follow their religion. They don't follow, things like that. I agree with her there. But this part, I do disagree with her on. I do. Thank you so much, Jack Mack for the $5 super chat. Says people like Psy are the problem. TDS is a major affliction. It is real. It is. It really is. I mean, he was nuts. I actually thought he was going to have a stroke. I really did. I thought he was going to have a stroke. I mean, it's not funny, but I did. So yeah, thank you so much for your super chat. So this does it for me tonight, guys. I wanted to just bring you this interview to show you how crazy people are, and to show you Candace is back, guys. She is back on YouTube. She had her first live broadcast since being removed today. So I'm going to continue to watch her. Again, I don't agree with her so much with her Israel stance, but I'm going to continue to watch her. I think she does so much good versus some of the stuff I disagree with her on. But I wanted to bring you guys this interview, get your thoughts on it, and just go through it with you all. Thank you so much for watching with me tonight. We will be back on Saturday evening at 9 p.m. We will be back with the ladies. I will be back with the ladies here with me. So definitely look out. If you haven't done so already, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know each time we go live. Appreciate you guys coming on here with me tonight. I will probably be talking about Vivek's town hall. You guys know he did a town hall tonight in Springfield, Ohio. So I'm very interested to see what was said there. So we'll probably talk about that on Saturday and much more, of course. Again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys being with me tonight. And, we're living in hard times, as I said earlier on in the broadcast. The world is changing. Our communities are changing, some not for the better. But guess what? God remains the same, and he is never changing. We can always count on him. So again, I'm talking about the God of the universe as found in biblical strict scriptures, never changes. So if you haven't done so already, glorify him, read his word, and live out his words and ways with his Holy Spirit in your heart. Thanks again for watching me tonight. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night. Right. Oops, let me see here. I'm trying to shut this off. I'm working it myself tonight, guys. All right, here we are. Good night now.